All right, Ral Memekin, Ral Steam-Kin, whatever you want to call it. We've got Steam-Kin here alongside Ral, which this deck's a little bit different than the last deck we played, in that this deck is looking to kind of churn through its deck a lot with these cards like Crash Turn, Warlord Fury, and Risk Factor, and kind of trigger things like Electrostatic Field and Railstorm Conduit, as well as having the chance to get double expansion alongside Ral to deal infinite damage. So basically the idea of this deck is we have the combo with these cards if it comes up, but also at the core, we're just this very reasonable, like, red kind of burn style deck. Out of the sideboard, one of the things I found I really liked in this deck against a variety of things is that we board into kind of a more controlling shell with Tibalt, Saheeli, and Ral in the post-board games against a lot of other aggro decks. That was very reasonable for us in the past. Let's go ahead and dive on into a constructed league here and see how it goes. Hey, Doc Weed, thanks for the brand new Prime support. There's a lot of great people making a lot of great stuff on Twitch right now. Thanks for supporting mine this month with that. Yeah, Sand just doesn't do anything. Sand's got an Electrostatic Field. Sign me up. Deal. There's a lot of sideboard Planeswalkers to have without Sarkin. So the sideboard plan when the Planeswalkers come in isn't really Sarkin friendly. So like the goal when we're bringing in all the Planeswalkers is to be a more controlling or mid-range deck, and Sarkin's really more of an aggressive finisher. And our goal in the post-board games is to slow down a little bit when we bring in all the walkers. Speaking of walkers, all right, Lightning Strike or Skewer, please. Perfect. As the kids say, your stream is yeet. Thank you for the 5 months of support, Infamous. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Alright, hopefully this is only a 3-2. Rats. I mean, it's going to be able to pressure the rail, unfortunately. Let's go ahead and do this to start. Don't Vraska me, bro. Cast down as opposed to trophy. Yep. Little bit of column A, little bit of column B.
I've flown on Gale Force. Beating you, I am really into current affairs. Get it? Because current, electricity.
I'm really into current. I've missed your dad jokes, Ral. I've missed your dad jokes. Yeah, Ral plus risk factor outputs a lot of DPS.
I should really get back to the lab.
Are we dead here? Feeling kind of dead? Yeah, I'm just not going to show them risk factor. They can probably draw reasonable conclusions, but let's not confirm it for them. I think I'm going to pull up in this matchup. If I'm pulling up, light up the stage becomes a little bit less appealing. My average card becomes more expensive. Let's try this. Hey, Boo Shoes. Thanks for the 5-month resub. I appreciate that. Welcome, welcome, welcome back. 4/3s are very, very large. You're not wrong. Anything Electrostatic Field can't block, it's like, ugh. Yeah, it seems fine. Wants to hit a couple of lands, but... Alright, hidey-ho, and away we go. Yeah, they just sit there waiting for us to go for that, right? I don't actually, so we've played this deck a number of times, especially earlier in the season, and I don't think we've actually ever comboed with it. Unlike the Party Bus deck where like you combo with some frequency, it's pretty rare in this one. Yikes, don't have a Tibalt or Invictus doling out 100 sub-gifties. Yep. Thank you. Thank you for the absurd generosity. I'm gonna make this one a little bit smaller for a little bit while it leaps through all those. Have a sword. Thanks for supporting the realm. Enjoy your new gifts of speech, Invictus, and if there's anything you'd like to add to the deck queue or see a little bit sooner that's already in there, you let me know. Welcome to our new members of Hoaglandia. And suddenly there was an outcry as many voices were given the gift of speech. If any of the newly found people with speech are unsure what to do with their hands and not sure if they should say anything, we're always happy to time you out, you know? We're givers here. Like Invictus, our mods are givers. Alright, no blocks here. Will do, I really appreciate it. Hit me, mods. Alright, so unfortunately, we weren't able... Hey, Randolph, thanks for the 4 months. Welcome back. We weren't able to really... While Invictus was distracting us with their absurd generosity, our opponent gains 10. Like 30, 12. They gained like 12.
Beasts are much more reliable than humans.
I wanted to say thanks because I've made it to gold in 2 days with Green Sarkin. Awesome, Carson. Yeah, Green Sarkin's hot. Definitely my favorite monsters deck in the format. That's true. These Steam-Kins might be able to drag us back into this game kicking and screaming. And they don't really have great attacks in the face of these, which is nice. If I draw a blue source, this expansion explosion might be real. Especially with the bonus mana from these. Ooh, alright, so what are we doing here? Do I want a Ral here probably, right? I think I want a Ral.
Every problem has a solution. Time to choose. Always so exciting.
That's an expansion explosion. I think I just take that, huh? If I hit a Rail next, or if I hit Storm Conduit next turn, we could potentially kill them. Always greed, right? Like, look at all these cards we could get to draw. Oh! Oh! Do I just kill both their planeswalkers? I think I kill their planeswalker and their wild growth walker, right?
I'll be back, just like before.
Because, like, I have another Ral in my hand. Yeah. Yeah, alright. Alright, we're cooking with gas. We're cooking with gas.
I'm out.
It's unfortunately not the Ral combo. We don't get to combo them there. He's a Ral that draws cards. Wow. And now their turn just, like, doesn't do... Oh, that's good. This is such a good example of pulling up successfully post-board in this deck.
We'll create great things, you and
Just want to peek. The weight is killing me.
Triggers. I guess if they have a finality, we could be sad here. Am I attacking? They can double block one. I think I'm attacking. I think I want to be aggressive in the face of a finality. Yeah, we can see Saheeli to get another 0-4. Oh, it is trample. I love when the temp text on this card ends up being relevant. You're just like, BT dubs, trample. That's a little unfortunate. Is what it is, though. Yeah, if only I had the first strike one, that would have been excellent. Then that attack would have been real good. Ooh.
The search for the unknown. That's real science.
So... I could use her down tick as a deal too, but that doesn't seem super appealing. Am I just passing for now? I think I'm just passing for now. How many instants and sorceries are in my bin? Is there a count on this screen somewhere of how many instants and sorceries we have? There's a count on Ral. Where? Oh, when you click on the Planeswalker, it shows. Got it. So when you go to activate it, it shows. Nope, it doesn't. It's at least 6 though, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I believe I have 7, so this is 5, 6, 7. Yeah, definitely used to.
Hold this lightning rod? Thanks. You ready to go toe-to-toe with me? My brainstorms bring actual thunder and lightning.
Huh? Is that a keep? That's probably... No, that's probably not a keep. I think I just want burn spells at this point. I think I want things that trigger these. If they hit finality at this point, it's still not that big of a deal. Alright, well, they're pretty likely dead. The wall only pings once with Ral's down tick. This, I would like to have you copy this. Why can't I click on my thing? Weird.
For you all.
Yeah, I'm gonna down tick here. And then I'm gonna risk factor for sure. I guess I should have taken the land over the Lava Coil, huh? Yeah, that was a sweet game, right? Like that was such a fantastic example of the pull-up board plan going bigger being excellent, right? And expansion really does an elegant job of enabling that because it's a card that like lets us be aggressive in game one by copying burn spells, but also generates card advantage in the post-board games and utility like we saw with the Vraska's Contempts. Yeah, this deck's definitely a hoot when it goes off. If you haven't seen this deck before, this is one of the many deck lists that you can find on the standard page of my website, magicesports.net. I do pretty regularly update those, and I trim off ones that are no longer competitive when I feel like they fall out of good spots in the format, etc. Why not run 4 expansion explosions if it's so good in both game lines? That's a good question. So, because we have so many cards that draw cards, you're often good at finding your expansion explosions, and expansion explosion is definitely a card that in multiples can sometimes have diminishing returns if you don't have anything good to copy with it. What's this deck called? We've been calling it Ral Memekin or Ral Steam-Kin. This isn't really an established archetype in the format, so I don't know if there's a really super official name for it. Dr. Brouhaha with the 2-month resub. Thank you very much and welcome back. I appreciate it. So you sub out the light up the stage and skewer when you pull up. It's light up the stage. Pulled out. Yeah, exactly, Wimmagus. Light up the stage is a card that becomes a lot less efficient as your curve gets higher because you're less likely to be able to play 2 cards off of it right away until you have a lot of lands if your cards are more expensive. Unfortunate that we're on the draw here, which means if they Jade Light next turn, they're gonna get to gain life before we get Tibbers down. Maybe Ifrit. I don't think I hate that. White aggro has become less popular than it once was, so trimming like a Fiery Cannonade to make room for a trimming a Fiery Cannonade to make room for they brought an Elder Spell. That's funny. Trimming Fiery Cannonade to make room for another expansion explosion might be fine. MWLX, thanks to 11 months. Right on time, Lightning Strike. Welcome to the party. And thanks, Rocket. I've spent a lot of effort trying to make the website accessible and have relevant data on it. WordPress is great. Yeah, they did ditch the Elder Spell, probably looking for lands at this point. So this deck does have a bad time while Narset's in play. You'll notice we have 4 copies of Skewer and 3 Lightning Strikes, though, which are cards that kill Narset after she down ticks, which is nice. Build around submissions for standard are $25. Alright, so Tibalt's gonna die here, unfortunately. Oh, sure. What about modern? Modern build around submissions are 50. Although I might revisit that number with the new set coming out. I might revisit. Like I kind of wouldn't mind building around some of the ideas in the New Horizons. There's a good chance that content's a little bit more popular. Is 8 blue sources too many for you? 1 U on 4 or late game explosion? Too many or too few, Thunderwunk? The card rewards are Incubation Druid for plat and Terramander for gold, I believe. There are definitely those two. I'm not sure which is plat and which is gold, though, offhand. Will I play Modern all weekend when Horizons comes out? I don't know. This deck rules. Have my partly remaining biddies. Thank you, Tenakora. I appreciate that. I'm planning to do at least 2 all Modern days the week Modern Horizon releases, and then depending on what the viewer counts look like during the all Modern streams, will determine if I do more all Modern past that. As always, most of the decisions I make here will be data driven. Yeah, I made the sub animation a little bit smaller because it's going to be going for a hot second here.
Today I craft my victory.
So we get to see Steam-Kin here being good with Expansion Explosion. So if I get to untap with Steam-Kin, I can Expansion Explosion for So do I want to draw 4 with this? They're going to get to ultimate this, right? I should probably kill their Vivian. I probably need to kill their Vivian here. What do I think about the Time Twister mod? I'm not sure what the exact text on it is. I haven't looked at spoilers from today. So I'm going to need to draw another piece of card advantage here, because risk factor... Why isn't it letting me submit just one? Why did it make me click on 2? Oh, because it's copying it exactly. So it makes me kill 2 planeswalkers. Got it.
I'm sorry,
That makes
but I
sense.
must tend to my creations.
That's funny. Makes sense when I think about it. Caught me in the moment though. So we're really hoping to draw. Yikes! We're really hoping to draw a planeswalker or an expansion explosion here. Ooh, it's gonna kill my Runaway Steam-Kin. This only being a 3/2 is good for us though, because it means I can hold down the fort for a little bit. If they attack with this, I'm just gonna take my lick for 5. Although, you know what? Nah, if they attack, I'm gonna chump block actually. I don't think we'll see them let me draw cards with this since they're at 25, so we're just going to pass for now. Maybe I'm supposed to trim a couple of risk factors post-board. Because this card's only really good when we really get going. And when we're pulling up, we're less likely. Really? Okay. They're just like assuming I don't have creatures in my hand, or spells in my hand? Oh, you know what? I should do this in response, right? Or they have another removal spell. That makes sense. I'm going to go ahead and trade this off here, but otherwise I'm just going to go ahead and take 8. I want to leave this 1/1 behind in the event that I draw a Planeswalker here. So, like, if I draw Ral next turn, for instance, this 1/1 Servo can protect Ral from dying to the Wild Growth Walker for a turn. Hey, No San, thank you for the support. I appreciate it. I think my Twitch alerts might have overrolled and died. Let's restart that. It copies the spell exactly, and then you can change the individual targets. Yeah, that makes sense to me on the surface. Alright, so our opponent is definitely favored from this position. Their deck has bigger top decks than ours for sure on average, but we're not just dead depending on how this ends up. Yeah, if they draw lands and we hit planeswalkers, we could be okay. Alright, I am going to go ahead and chump block this turn, because usually you want to chump block the turn before you're obligated to. So if my opponent continues flooding out here and we hit some action, we could maybe be okay. Yep. This is a really aggressive Vraska's Contempt. feel like you should wait and see if I hit Planeswalkers. Yeah, I think maybe leaving in all 4 risk factors was wrong. That was probably all she wrote. Although I guess, do I have enough instant sorceries here for Ral to kill this thing? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, Ral's 1 short of killing this. Yeah, if this had been like a light up the stage here, maybe I'm supposed to leave in 2 light up the stages. They're definitely worse post board with our more expensive curve, but... Well, I could hit a cantrip into Ral. So if I'd have hit like a Warlord's whatever there, I could have drawn Ral, and then Ral could have killed Wild Growth Walker, and then maybe we get back into it. What situations do we bring Saheeli in? So the Saheeli, basically all the Planeswalkers come in together, essentially. So the sideboard plan of this deck is in matchups where getting under them is impossible, being super aggressive, especially post-board when people have more life gain. You board in these Planeswalkers and sometimes Lava Coil if you need to be interactive, and you just like grind them out, essentially. Add extra value to everything you're doing, get some more 2-for-1s in. Wild Growth Walker's very, very good. Oh, this hand's so good with the second land. This hand's not amazing, but it's fine. Am I done after this one, or am I doing one more? I might be done after this one. I ran long the last 2 days. Want to like actually get to the gym tonight? Need to finish the sideboard guide for Black Green Citadel as well. I think I'm gonna add that back into the queue with some of the dealer's choice points from Invictus there. The deck's been sweet. We haven't played it for a while. I really feel like you lose on some of the power level of this deck by cutting risk factor. You win a lot of games by like Ral downtick, copy your risk factors. You could try putting, like, some of the Planeswalkers from the sideboard into the main, like Tibalt or Saheeli, but I do think you lose out on a lot of power level by not having access to any risk factors. I would love a land. I'm gonna put this into play tapped for now. If I didn't guaranteed have a land on top of my deck here, I think I'd play this on 1. But guaranteeing my land drop means that I'm pretty okay to wait. What changes do I suggest to make this deck better in best of 1? It's probably fine in best of 1 as is. I'm by no means a best of 1 expert, but I feel like what we have set up is pretty reasonable. I'm shocking in this forest here because if they play a Jade Light this turn, I want to shock it in response to. Alright, they're playing a card that cares about big creatures, so they're probably less likely to have little things, especially at this point in the game. I don't think I want to expansion this. Hits us the mana to play this Ral. Invictus gifted 100 subs this afternoon.
You must be accompanied by a parent or guardian by the lightning.
I think I'm actually gonna get a little greedy and bottom this. Like, I have this in play. I have a cantrip next turn. What comes in the mirror? I have no idea. Yeah, I could see that coming, Pizza. Like, just pre-board a couple of the Planeswalkers, have a little bit more long game. Saheeli in general is just, like, very good in this deck. This card has so much loyalty, I'm just gonna burn it to Warlord's Fury here. Well, I'm glad I was greedy and bottomed what I bottomed there. Are they dead? They're pretty close to dead, right? This does 4, and then this does 4, if I wanted. We're playing Warlord's Fury over Opt, because our deck only has 8 red sources in it. Or 8 blue sources in it, sorry. So our blue is a very small splash. We're not like the Drake's deck in that we're full 2 color. Our deck is 8 blue duels and then a bunch of basic mountains. Apparently my opponent was playing something very slow. If they're playing big green idiots, this is probably a Saheeli matchup, if I had to venture a guess. I also bet Lava Coil probably plays if they're playing large green stompers. And again, we didn't really see anything out of them except for this enchantment that implies they're going bigger. Hey, Tanakora, thank you for the 3-month resub. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. So I assume they have like land war elves and other ramp creatures in their deck. So that's why I'm leaving the shocks in. The floor on shocks also relatively high because it's just like a cheap spell for us. Like even here, just like shock your face, play light up the stage on 2 is like pretty reasonable a lot of the time, depending on what their opener looks like. A lot of the crash through for now, and just like leave up a shock for a mana dork here. That mana dork is bigger than the average bear. Huh? I think I'm just gonna do this and to light up the stage. Lava Coil's a little late there. I guess if I would have... No, if I would have cast the Crash through on 1, I could have Lava Coiled, I guess. That's true. They could have a bunch of stuff that's bigger than Lava Coil. It's a very, very real possibility. I'm in an event, Captain Markov. Well, based on what they've done so far, I think I'd actually rather Lava Coil this than play Electrostatic Field if they play nothing. Because, like, if they didn't have anything to do for 4 mana this turn, they hopefully don't have anything to do for 4 mana next turn. So getting this out of the way sounds good. You have to get, like, Giant Growth here. We did lose the first match of this constructed event, and the constructed events do generally try to pair you based on record, so my opponent might also be 0-1 with their deck. If you didn't catch the first match of this set, it was actually really good. We played against Sultan. There was a lot of awesome back and forth. Maybe they didn't understand what their boon card did. Maybe they thought they could put 2 counters on 1 thing with it. Right, let me just get this going. Start poking them. And then next turn, honestly, we might just like try and pound them down with risk factors from here. Just like risk factor, expansion, my risk factor. And then it's like risk factor the following turn if we hit a land. Because remember, each of these risk factor casts deal 5 right now with the Electrostatic Field out. You have a red monster. Have a good one, Paula. Catch you later. Ooh, that's a good one. Now each of the risk factors deal 6. Yeah, the opponent's likely just a newer player. Nothing wrong with that. I do think Arena doesn't quite do enough hand-holding on average a lot of the time for newer players who end up in queues like this one. I feel like I don't remember exactly what the new player experience is like when you log in for the first time, because it's been a while since I went through it. But I feel like with the number of players that I end up seeing with just like random cards I own decks in the constructed events, there should probably be a little bit more guiding towards, hey, you should just play ranked because it doesn't cost you any entry fee and you can get a feel for things here with like very little drawback, etc. A little bit more guiding into like getting those players into meaningful games without like costing them entry fees. It's like if you're someone who's like brand new and you like just get smashed in these events all the time, you like burn through a bunch of resources learning how to play, you're probably not going to have a lot of fun. Honestly, and maybe this would hurt the entry fee, but if I was Wizards of the Coast, I probably would lock the ability to play in constructed events until you get to like silver or gold on the constructed ladder. Like make at least once, right? Like maybe don't make them do it every season, but at least like make the players demonstrate they like understand what's going on, so they don't just like burn through a bunch of entries and stuff like that. I think the issue is that a lot of new player guides encourage players to earn constructed events to earn currency. Yeah, that's bad on the new players guides parts, right? Oh no! Rude. Jade Light Ranger inside of a girl deck's really interesting though. I don't think I've seen too much of that. We're kind of stalled here. I'm gonna go ahead and pack it in before we show them more of our stuff. Yeah, gold 4. Something that's like says, hey, you can win some amount of matches of Magic, so that way you aren't just gonna like set a bunch of money on fire and be disappointed. I think Skewer's the first cut when I pull up a little bit. My opponent's decks, so like they had Jade Light Ranger, but like the full Wild Growth Walker package feels like it's less common in my opponent's in the Groll deck, so I'm not sure that I want to board in Tibalt necessarily here. I'm gonna leave in some light at the stage this time, because I think last time one of my issues was I cut too many of this card against the Sultai deck and I lost some of my velocity. Let's try trimming around the edges and see how this goes. Yeah, my opponent had a pretty aggressive start, and I kind of clunked up on too many of my expensive spells in my opener. So, like, one of the evaluations of a hand like this when it comes to mulliganing is you could say, hey, I have 2 cantrips, and if I hit a mountain, I get to play magic, and I'm likely to hit the mountain because I get to draw a card here. But the question you want to ask yourself is not how likely you are to hit, but how good is your hand in proportion to how likely you are to hit. So, like, even if this hand draws a couple of mountains to get to play magic, it's not that good of a hand, right? So, like, if there's a chance that we could stumble and die and the payoff isn't proportionally good to, like, the downside of missing, usually that's a sign that you want to mulligan. So, I'm going to mulligan this hand not because it can't hit, but because even if it hits, it doesn't do a whole lot. I think I'm nah, I want to hit my first 3 pretty badly. Yeah, that's fair. The feedback from people in chat that, like, they said they had success with the events right when they started. Maybe I'm off base. I don't know. I know I personally always just feel kind of bad when I, like, queue in, even with something like this that's not necessarily a tiered deck, but is, like, a deck that's, like, not budget at all, and we run into people who are obviously, like, new players or brand new collections. Oh, this is such a beating.
You think I'm a crazy beast? Where do you see my medals?
It's unfortunate we can't redirect with this card anymore. This is actually better than the start they had last game, because they had this start with a Land War Elf this time. Alright, so they're going to take 4 here, obviously, but I get to cast this light up the stage. They have, like, any sort of dragon or haste threat here. We're going to die real fast.
The only authority that I recognize is chaos.
We did play Mono Green Walkers earlier today, and it was really bad against the red aggro decks. Which is kinda to be expected, I think. I think we're dead here, right? Yeah, we're pretty dead. I think these monster style decks are probably the worst matchup for this deck. The monster style decks are decks that have, like, they have big creatures, they have some amount of removal in order to kill our payoffs, and a lot of their things don't die to, like, our lightning strikes and our shocks, so we have a hard time, like, keeping their board in check. Like, our red control plan isn't good against them like it's good against red, white, and mono blue aggro. And our aggressive plan often gets disrupted by them. At any rate, I'm going to go ahead and call things there for the day. Like I said, trying to get into a little bit more regular schedule and get some more work-life balance, which is important. I'll be back tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. We'll do a Magic Online League to start today as always, then we'll roll right on in to a bunch more Standard here on Arena. Thanks everyone for watching. Remember, if you want to see more content from myself, you can check out my website, magicesports.net, as well as youtube.com/Jeff Hoagland. If you prefer to stay here on Twitch, I'm going to go ahead and find someone else streaming some Constructed to give a host to here. Looks like William Jensen is on. He always does good stuff, so I'm going to send you over his way. Have a good one, folks.